What's up, Star Wars fans? My name is Prince, and I'm an urban acolyte. And in this video, I'm going to discuss Tricia Barr's latest article in Star Wars Insider magazine, the one that's got my main man Finn on the cover. And she wrote a really interesting article on Finn's heroic journey. I think I mentioned, it might have been in a live stream, last month's issue of Star Wars Insider magazine, where she wrote on Jyn Erso's heroine's journey. Before I get into this, I just want to give a special shout out to Fact Free Videos, who said that Star Wars needs to move beyond the hero's journey moving forward. But anyway, we're talking about Finn and the hero's journey. I don't want to sully this video with personal stuff, because Tricia might be watching this because I'm talking about her article. So I've said this in other videos that The Force Awakens, there are two heroes' journeys. Tricia points that out, that this is the first time ever where in a Star Wars saga film, because Jyn Erso had her heroine's journey in Rogue One, but this is actually, it's the first time in Star Wars where there's been two heroes' journeys. Discounting Jyn Erso's experience in Rogue One, this is the first time where we've had the person who was the Force user, their hero's journey, and then this other person who for now is not a Force user. That remains to be seen. I'm holding out hopes that Finn will be discovered as a child of the Force. I feel like things are pointing in that direction when you fully understand his backstory and everything that goes on in The Force Awakens. Shout out to my big sister Tricia Barr, because she comes out immediately and acknowledges that Finn is the catalyst in this movie. Finn has his initial awakening, right? And this is Finn's initial call to adventure. He initiates that on his own. They're on Jakku when the First Order comes and they raise Tuono village to the ground and kill all the pilgrims. Finn at that point makes a stand. I can't fight for this. This is not what I stand for. And that initiates his call to adventure. She points out that his supernatural aid comes in the form of Poe Dameron. Poe Dameron aids him in fleeing the First Order. And at this point, Finn has taken his first steps into a bigger world. He has crossed the point of no return. So he crosses the threshold with the assistance of his mentor, who renames him. Now, I talked about this in a video back in November, where I said that originally Poe Dameron was supposed to have been a Jedi, right? So that was something that was changed during the writing process. According to the concept artwork, when Finn crashed, he was supposed to have this kind of anointing. He was supposed to witness one of his fellow fire team members being killed. At that time, they were going to be killed by the First Order, and not by, as a result of First Order actions or their mission, right? So Slip was going to die regardless, but I think it may have been Finn's entire fire team originally that was going to die. That's just me trying to interpret the concept artwork in the Art of the Force Awakens. Finn would flee with the assistance of this Jedi. Poe Dameron was going to die, or John Doe at that time, and he would be rescued. And this actually is Poe's story. Poe was rescued by, I want to say he was rescued by Tito when he crashed, and he managed to eject, and he wandered off and was aided by inhabitants on Jakku. But originally that was going to be Finn. Finn would be rescued by a shaman who would literally give him a rebirth, right? A baptism ceremony. Finn would be reborn, born into the mysteries. And that was going to be the beginning of his transformation as he crossed the threshold. Here, it's Poe Dameron who serves as a mentor, renames him from FN2187 to Finn. And from that point, Finn is separated from Poe, crosses the threshold, has this literal transformation as he sheds his First Order armor and takes Poe's jacket and looks more like someone who would serve the Resistance, with the exception of his stormtrooper boots, which was one of the reasons that Han Solo knew that he was lying. Hey man, this dude's supposed to be with the Resistance. Why is he wearing stormtrooper boots? Why does he not know about anything? But he can strip and dress a battle wound, right? That Chewbacca had. Those were things that let Han Solo know that this guy is not really what he says he is, and the women, they always find out the truth in the end. He faces challenges and temptations, and the funny thing is that Trish pointed out is that when they arrive on Takodana to meet with Maz Kanata, Finn is the one who wants to run, but Rey doesn't have any intentions of going to carry this mission all the way to its fruition. Her plans are to go back home, go back to Jakku after their little meetup at Maz's castle. So we call Finn a coward and Rey is the Mary Sue. And I keep saying, no, Rey had weaknesses too. She wanted to stay on Jakku. She kept wanting to go back. And when we see Rey's Force back vision, you see the gateway that's preventing her from leaving, right? And that didn't look right. But I'm showing when the blobfish is holding her back, right? When she's a little girl and no, don't leave, come back. And she's being held back by this person who said, I need you, Rey. You're my best scavenger. You're my personal mechanic. I mean, people say, how could Rey know how to fix the Millennium Falcon? She was this dude's personal mechanic, the blobfish. I don't know why I just forgot his name while I'm filming. Once I finish this, I'll know his name exactly. But my point is, if she was his personal mechanic, she was probably the one that installed the freaking governor or whatever it was on the Millennium Falcon. She was probably so I bypassed the compressor. She probably installed all of that. That's how she knew how to do it. But this is about Finn and not Rey. I'm getting carried away. My point is, Finn also had someone holding him back. The person, the literal mother, the only mother he's ever known, right? Because she was his star pupil, and that's Captain Phasma. So when we talk about, well, why did Captain Phasma drop the shields and this and that? I remember Tiffany Smith Lord on the Collider Jedi Council thought that Finn was using a Jedi mind trick, the same way Rey was using a Jedi mind trick. It works. You're more charismatic. You can you can influence people who are easily suggestible. That was a weak point in The Force Awakens, and I felt like maybe that was thrown in later, I believe, so that in the future they could take Captain Phasma's character and do more with her. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Rian Johnson came back later and said, hey, we got to give Phasma more things because I'm giving her a bigger part in episode 8, where originally she was not, I shouldn't even say she, Captain Phasma, because Captain Phasma became a woman when Gwendolyn Christie was casting the role. Captain Phasma was not going to be a big component of the movie, of The Force Awakens, right? And I said in the video about Finn having more lightsaber scenes that he was supposed to take the lightsaber and destroy the computer, which would have taken down the shields. I'm sure some of us would have much rather have seen that. But if you're setting up a bigger confrontation with Finn and Phasma later, then that makes sense. Now, for Tricia Barr, that is Finn's atonement, right? He has this revelation, another transformation, the revelation that I've got to face the First Order. I've got to confront my fear. Why? Because they took Rey, my first friend, probably the only chick outside of Phasma that I've ever spoken to. Well, not counting the other stormtroopers that were women, but they weren't allowed to take off their helmets. And I would imagine that the women were all on an all-female fire team if the First Order works anything like our military today is, women, because you got the shower and bathroom issues, unless they were doing some serious brainwashing, because I've seen that one model who was the really tall chick that was a female stormtrooper in the First Order, and me and her in some showers. Never mind. I'm getting a little bit too far out there. My point is that I think Rey was the first woman that ever gave Finn the time of day. That was the longest he spent around a woman and knew it was a woman who wasn't part of the First Order and talking down to him. But he experienced a transformation, and his atonement. I always talk about this atonement with the father, atonement with the mother happened. I'm in charge now, Phasma. I'm in charge. And that's a weird kind of atonement. But we're talking about just within this one movie. Now, the thing about the hero's journey is I always felt like within the individual movies, you could have the hero's journey, right? Within A New Hope, Luke Skywalker had it. Well, Finn was supposed to be the Luke Skywalker. Luke had his call to adventure with Obi-Wan. I can't go, Ben. I gotta stay here. I really want to do something about the Empire, but I just can't. And then it's like, and then the supernatural aid. Well, Obi-Wan is a Jedi, right? He crossed the threshold. Uncle Owen, Aunt Beru are dead, and they burned the moisture farm to the ground. They barbecued your family, and now you have no choice but to go along with this guy. The revelation, the death and rebirth, the death of your innocence when Obi-Wan Kenobi is struck down by Darth Vader, the transformation, the atonement. He trusts Obi-Wan. He moves the computer, fires the torpedoes, trusts in the Force, and returns with the gift of the goddess, the boon giver, the one who destroyed the Death Star, Luke Skywalker, the Skywalker, right? The best pilot the person who brought I want to say the Resistance, but this is New Hope. The Galactic Rebellion, the person who brought the Rebel Alliance, the first major victory. They had a minor victory in stealing those Death Star plans, but they got freaking crushed and wiped out nearly. And now with these depleted forces, here this kid comes up who's from nowhere, the backwoods of Tatooine, right? The asshole of the of the Outer Rim, and blows up the Death Star and sends Darth Vader careening off into space and serves the Emperor a major L, right? And then we could say he has a call to adventure again in Empire Strikes Back. Luke, you will go to the Dagobah system. You will train with Yoda, the Jedi who trained me, right? And there it is all over again. And he gets his hand cut off. He has an atonement with the Father, literally, because this dude you want to hate, you cut his head off in the dark side cave. Luke, no, Luke, I am your father, right? And then he returns with a new hand that got severed. Thanks, good old dad. And he returns, and it's like, I gotta lick my wounds. And what happens is he returns, and it's like, I gotta train harder. I gotta train. I can't kill my father. I gotta save Han. We gotta get this thing back on track. I gotta face Vader. I gotta face the Emperor. And then it happens all over again in Return of the Jedi. And when you take these three movies and put them in the bigger picture, then you can start to lay out all of this stuff. And the atonement becomes the revelation, the death and rebirth, the loss of innocence as a whole. Everything I thought I knew about this Vader figure and my father, Anakin Skywalker, it's a lie. And what the Jedi are telling me to do, I cannot do. I've got to find another way, right? And he returns in the end as the boon giver, we don't know exactly what happened between that point at the funeral pyre or the celebration, Yup, nope. Yup, nope. And then when we see him, when he turns around and Rey is holding that lightsaber out to him that belonged to his father, that belonged to him until he got his hand cut off. So where I'm going with all of that is Finn is on the hero's journey. It's evident in The Force Awakens. Finn's journey is different from Rey's, and Finn is in charge. He is becoming a big deal with the Resistance and with the galaxy. And with Finn, we don't know where this is going because Finn just woke up on his own. Well, in my mind, he was always awake. The First Order Stormtrooper training program created by Brendel Hux never took shape. He took advantage of the training, but this dude is gifted physically gifted. And how gifted, we don't know, but he was in the top 1% of all stormtroopers. And this is a program that was from the beginning weeded people out. These are the top physical specimen of descendants of the Empire. And that means this dude is the best of the best, right? If this is the freaking UFC and to make the UFC, you got to be the baddest ass fighter in the world, or at least in where they're scouting people from, at least. And then somebody who's a champion, that means they are the best of the best, the cream of the crop. That's already the cream of the crop. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I don't think a lot of people, based on what I see in the comments, understand that the First Order stormtroopers were targeting people specifically. These are specific candidates. If you're in a fire team, we're looking for 4 kids from this. They say you're going to galaxy. We want to this universe, this planet. We want the 4 best kids to fill these billets, right? Based on their genetics, right? And maybe and some kids come up winning the genetic lottery, and that was Finn. And you say, well, I didn't see it. We're talking about physically. Mentally, he ain't all there, right? He's dealing with some issues, right? He's went through some trauma. We're gonna have to figure out where Finn is going, because where The Force Awakens ends in the bigger picture of this formula, I feel like Finn is in the abyss. He's in a coma, death and rebirth. Who will he be reborn as in episode 8? But then we got 3 movies, so this could be him crossing the threshold at the end of 1, and something bad could happen to him in 8 at the end, right? He has another revelation. He could find out his true identity, who he really is, where he came from. And that would be a type of death and rebirth. So, shout outs to the people who hate the Joseph Campbell formula. But for those of us who understand this, those of us who use this to read not only Star Wars, but everything else, because this is the mono myth. Every myth follows this. This is what Joseph Campbell devoted his life to studying, right? If you read the Hero of 1,000 Faces, you literally learn about 1,000 different heroes, and it's like, oh, this is their story. See how it follows it. This is their story. This is Hercules. This is Odysseus. This is Prince 7 Weapons. This is Siddhartha Gautama. This is Jesus. Right? This is Moses' story. Right? This is King Arthur and Excalibur. Right? It's every freaking story known to man follows this. And if you want to be a good storyteller, you need to understand this. But that's all I got to say about this. What do you guys think about Finn and his hero's journey? And check out the latest issue of Star Wars Insider Magazine. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead, click on that subscribe button and take your first steps towards becoming an urban acolyte. Dedicate yourself to becoming the hero of your own story and become a force for change in your community. Continue to support the channel. Check out more videos from this channel, and y'all be easy. So that's all I got for this one. Thanks for watching. Y'all keep on breathing, and may the force of others be with you. Always.